Those of you who are well versed with Todd McFarlane's Spawn universe will agree with me when I tell you that the central character is an exceptionally powerful entity. After all, the former government assassin reborn from hell is armed with necroplasmic energy, and many of his incredible feats, in case you did not know, are raising the dead, regenerative healing, reshaping reality, and engaging in combat with both demonic forces and angelic warriors. So in a way, Simmons, after becoming Spawn, is pretty much an all-in-one package given his elite tactical training and diverse supernatural powers. But despite having all of these phenomenal powers at his disposal, the Hellspawn is merely a minor player in a much larger cosmic conflict. And there is no denying that the universe of Spawn is packed to the brim with powerful ancient forces that tend to operate on a conceptual level. And in case I have not been explicit enough, I am specifically talking about higher powers here, or celestial beings way more supreme than even the immensely powerful Spawn. Well, this brings me to the main contents of today's video, which is certainly a treat from one Spawn fan to another. Here's taking a look at 12 godlike beings that are categorically more powerful than Spawn from his own universe. The Mother of Existence, Creator of the Universe. The creator of all life in the Spawn universe bags the first place in my list for all the right reasons. Also known as the Man of Miracles, Creator, and at times simply the Mother, this primordial omnipotent being is generally considered ageless and genderless, often appearing in various forms depending on who is perceiving the entity. The most defining reason for the Mother's supremacy is the being's lineage, as the entity happens to be the very force behind God and Satan. So to everyone thinking that God and Satan are the ultimate authorities in the Spawn mythos, I'm sorry to break it to you that you have been highly mistaken. In fact, the Mother as an enigmatic super being has always retained the position as the ultimate creator, possessing vast abilities that are limitless, such as omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence, and dare I disregard, absolute immortality. I know I have already mentioned that the Mother is responsible for creating both God and Satan, but it is important that I dive a little deeper here. A key revelation as seen in Spawn comic issue 158 is that Mother has birthed countless cosmic entities and given each of them a world to run. As for God and Satan, they were gifted Earth to see if they could coexist, but the twins' petty bickering and eternal war for souls drove the Mother to strip them of their power and authority over heaven and hell. So much so, the Mother not only had them banished to a forgotten quarter of the universe, but the all-powerful entity also had God and Satan reincarnated later as human children. By now, it should be clear to you that this eternal being of immeasurable power has been the architect behind the majority of the events in the Spawn universe, and that usually places this godlike being well above Spawn with powers indubitably greater than those of God and Satan combined. While Spawn is bound by the rules of hell, the Mother operates without constraints. Mind you, Spawn's power is a resource that can be depleted, but the Mother's power is infinite. After all, the Creator is the source from which everything originates. Naturally, the Mother represents the equilibrium of the universe, exists beyond the conflict between heaven and hell, and has the power to erase either side entirely. At the end of the day, Spawn is a pawn in a game that he barely understands, but the Mother is powerful enough to flip the table whenever the primordial being wants to. Let's not forget that it was the Mother who empowered Spawn with the forbidden fruit in order to have him reset the universe, as seen in issue 161 of Spawn. Without the Mother's intervention and the gifted power, Spawn would have been destroyed by the combined forces of heaven and hell. God, supreme ruler of heaven. Second on my list is the celestial ruler of heaven, who, as mentioned before, happens to be one of the two primordial children created by the Mother of Existence. This inherently makes God a near omnipotent creator deity, rivaled by his cosmic twin brother, Satan, and surpassed by the Mother for obvious reasons. In the Spawn universe, and specifically seen in issue 158 of Spawn, God is responsible for the creation of life and all human souls on Earth, and it is fair to admit that the primary architect of humanity exists on a conceptual plane where he can simply command a soul to exist or even reclaim it at the moment of death. Unlike Spawn, whose power levels drop every time he resorts to his magic, God possesses an inexhaustible reservoir of celestial light. So in a way, the supreme ruler of heaven has no limit. He can reset timelines, he can incinerate entire legions of Hellspawn, as seen particularly in Spawn number 162, and he is also a cosmic level reality warper. As one of the central forces shaping the universe, God is an original primordial primordial entity, whereas Spawn is a transformed human at the end of the day. God has the authority and power to remove abilities from lesser, younger beings, and Spawn is considered way younger and a lot less powerful when compared to this particular higher power deity. Even when Spawn acquires massive power, his ability to influence reality is depicted as temporary or in need of higher intervention, such as that of the Mother, but when it comes to God's abilities, they extend to universal scale manipulation. Mind you, I'm talking about creating and destroying stars, planets, and galaxies for that matter. Ultimately, Spawn is a creation within a system that the nigh-omniscient God and his twin brother helped build, and while there is no denying that Spawn is powerful, he doesn't really stand a chance against this foundational cosmic force, otherwise known as God. Satan, Lord of Hell. Interestingly, for many years, readers of the Spawn comic series were led to believe that Malebolgia was the devil in the Spawn universe, and that after his defeat, it was Mammon who took on the role of the devil. But Satan confirmed his existence as the ultimate monarch of Hell when his character was finally introduced in the 158th issue. As the brother and eternal rival of God, and add to this his status as a primordial entity birthed by the Mother, Satan possesses nigh omnipotence and essentially functions as a god-level threat. Also known as the Prince of Darkness, Satan is often depicted as the primary driver of Armageddon, given his desires to destroy humanity and reshape existence. No wonder he fittingly occupies a higher seat in the cosmic order, and it goes without saying that the undisputed ruler of Hell is feared by every other demon residing there, including high-ranking lords like Malebolgia as well as Mammon. The solitary fact that Satan is a fundamental pillar of existence has him occupying a tier of power that transcends the physical limitations of any Hellspawn for that matter. One has to always keep in mind that the immensely powerful Satan cannot be killed. He can, however, be imprisoned or stripped of his powers by a being of equal status, such as God or the Mother. Furthermore, amongst a horde of incredible powers that Satan has at his disposal, few of them include him reshaping the geography of Hell, manipulating time, and warping reality on a planetary scale without ever exhausting himself. Also, in case I haven't mentioned this before, Satan possesses the additional power to alter the fundamental laws of physics and reality within his domain, a detail that has been extensively demonstrated in issue 158. In fact, the cosmic superbeing has an inherent divine right to every soul that enters his realm, because Hell was ultimately gifted to him by the Mother. Malebolgia, creator of Hellspawns. The malefic Malebolgia is notoriously known for many things. For instance, he is particularly famous for his role in creating Hellspawns. Now ask yourself this: how can the former ruler of the 8th Circle of Hell and the one who originally granted Spawn his powers not be a godlike being? Of course he is more powerful than Spawn. Having existed for more than 70,000 years, Malebolgia is the infamous devil that offered Simmons a Faustian deal and caused him to be Spawn in the first place, as seen in the very first issue of the comic. It is no secret that the deal came with conditions, and the rest, as you all know, is history. A creation of Leviathan, who was the preceding leader of the 8th Sphere, Malebolgia became so powerful that he ended up betraying and killing his own creator just because he wanted to take his place and become the new ruler. Malebolgia's position in Hell's hierarchy, his obsession with Hellspawns in particular, and his expertise in necroplasm gave him the exclusive power to create Hellspawns. In fact, there is no denying that he did create a massive battalion of Hellspawns during his rule that was truly capable of tearing down heaven itself, and the specific display of Malebolgia's vast army all set for the final assault is the most prominent in the 100th issue. Often regarded as an equal to Satan, Malebolgia, as the de facto Grand Master of Hell, is naturally blessed with extreme levels of powers. While he possesses the power to morph and influence illusions, and add to this his dimensional manipulation as well as the ability to raise the dead, his other powers include psychokinesis, telepathy, shapeshifting, regenerating, and, needless to say, superhuman levels of strength. While Malebolgia has physically overpowered and knocked around Spawn in several issues, my favorite moment of Malebolgia, asserting his absolute dominance and effortlessly showcasing to Spawn that he is just a toy in the pits of Hell, is from issue 50, which has the Hellspawn returning to the 8th Circle of Hell to confront his master. Last but not least, this demon lord here is also known for his deceptive nature. After all, he did trick Spawn into serving him for his own cause, didn't he? Mammon, the master manipulator of hell. I think most fans will agree with me when I say Mammon's past has been heavily shrouded in mystery, just to enhance his role as an enigmatic, Machiavellian figure. I don't know about you, but it certainly did catch my attention when Mammon was revealed to be a member of the Forgotten in the 164th issue of the comic. Now, those of you who do not know about the Forgotten, they were a group of muses who stayed loyal to God but refused to fight during the war in heaven. No wonder, this had Mammon getting banished from heaven. But unlike the other fallen angels who were exiled to earth, Mammon was cast into hell, where he eventually established himself as one of the most powerful beings. Lord Mammon, as he is often addressed as, became the ruler of hell's ninth circle as seen in Spawn number 182. As a master manipulator who likes to influence events from the shadows, Mammon does not like to get his own hands dirty, but if he has to, he will not hesitate. Far exceeding Malebolgia and long believed to be Satan in power, Mammon is considered the second in command in hell, and his ultimate goal is to acquire the throne of creation, which will allow him to wield supreme power and restructure the universe as per his vision. No points for guessing that this ancient demon lord of hell has been playing long-term strategic games within hell's hierarchy, orchestrating numerous deeper and foundational events. Believe me when I say this, Mammon is the mastermind behind most of the events that have led to Simmons becoming Spawn, having manipulated his life from birth and ensuring that he became a powerful Hellspawn. That's not all. Mammon has even gone to extreme lengths to manipulate the bloodlines of Al and Wanda, as revealed in issues 182 and 184 of the comic, in order to perfect his Hellspawn project. After all, the creation of an unprecedented being is mandatory on Mammon's part to act as his weapon and help him achieve his goal. Needless to say, Mammon's vast knowledge, mastery of magic, and control over Hell's structure automatically place him on a higher power level, way above Spawn. Urizon, Heaven's Destroyer. This primordial dark deity has existed even before time, and in a way this godlike being predates the very concepts of heaven and hell. It is safe to say that he is neither a product of the celestial hierarchy, nor is he bound by the rules of necroplasm. In fact, Urizon's only purpose in life is to purify the universe by devouring souls and absolving them from the very circle of life and death. So, in a way, his mere existence is an act of keeping the universe in balance by ending life. Naturally, this did not sit well with God and Satan because both of their armies needed souls, and with Urizon becoming a significant risk, it dawned upon the bickering twins that they had to get rid of the self-sustaining engine of destruction. And because Urizon's immortality does not allow him to be killed, a fact clearly established in the Spawn vs. Urizon arc, issues 97 and 98 of the comic to be more precise, God and Satan formed a temporary alliance to seal him away. But even a deity as supreme as Urizon can always be released. All you need is a full moon, 13 of Urizon's dedicated zealots, and a sacrificial ceremony. Now, it is important to remember that Urizon is a being so massive and ancient that he pretty much views the war between God and Satan as a minor squabble. There is also no denying that he is a raw, chaotic force of nature who doesn't really care for the structure of souls or the laws of the afterlife. As for Urizon posing as a direct threat to Spawn or other Hellspawns, it is essential to note that Spawn is bound to his suit of necroplasm with a limited power supply, whereas Urizon is a cosmic force of nature existing outside the hierarchy of God and Satan, and is therefore not constrained by the rules of necroplasm. No wonder Spawn's necrobursts and chains were effectively useless against Urizon during their first encounter, as seen in the 95th issue of the comic, and the Hellspawn had to eventually tap into the green world to bury the mountain-sized deity back into the earth, because killing him is just not an option. Zera, leader of the Seraphim. Often referred to as the Queen of the Seraphim, Zera is God's most powerful creation, specifically designed to be his most loyal and bloodthirsty protector. Representing the absolute peak of angelic martial power, this primordial goddess of war was granted a nearly bottomless well of celestial energy. But because of her erratic nature, unbridled bloodlust, and her volatile insanity in particular, Zera was seen more as a chaotic force. As a matter of fact, her colossal scale of power was thought to be too dangerous to be left unchecked, which is why she was imprisoned by her creator in the very depths of heaven, as revealed in Spawn number 154. Despite being locked away, Zera remained fiercely loyal to God, and she obeyed God's decision. When she was released later to defend the throne of creation, she didn't question her imprisonment once. Instead, she sought to return God to his throne, tracking him down and finding him in his human form, as seen in issue 157. Unlike other angels, Zera is an extension of God's own wrath. She represents heaven's ruling elite and is notoriously difficult to kill. In fact, her immortality does not allow her to be killed, and she is highly capable of existing even without a body. Depicted as a force of nature capable of slaughtering entire legions of Hellspawn single-handedly, Zera is hands down one of the most powerful authorities in heaven, and her primordial divinity is more than enough to outclass a standard Hellspawn, which in this case patently means spawn. Godspawn. I know what you're thinking. Technically speaking, this is a powered-up spawn, and I wouldn't disagree with you here, but hear me out. When I say Godspawn, I want you all to treat this being here as a separate cosmic entity. Now that this is clear, allow me to explain to you how Spawn is only a foot soldier for Malebolgia, whereas Godspawn is literally on par with the architects of creation. Given that Godspawn is empowered by the Mother of Existence, he transforms into a primordial infinite energy source, categorically surpassing the very bounds of Hell's necroplasm. You see, Spawn has to draw his power from Hell, and he is strictly governed by a finite 9,999 energy counter, but that is just not the case with Godspawn. The latter does not have to worry about running out of magic, which itself makes him function as a god-tier entity. I also feel I have to point out here that while standard Spawn does have exceptional abilities, they are literally nothing when compared to Godspawn's unparalleled powers. As seen in the Armageddon arc, Godspawn literally operates on a cosmic level, wiping out the combined armies of heaven and hell with a single thought, as seen in Spawn number 162, as well as rebooting the world to seal off the influence of both heaven and hell, and giving humanity a fresh start, as seen in the 164th issue of the comic. In short, Godspawn is far more powerful than standard Spawn in every aspect, functioning more like an ultimate arbiter, and rewriting the very laws of life and death. Omega Spawn, Necroplasm Titan. Consistently described as one of the oldest and most powerful within the strongest class of Hellspawns ever created, Omega Spawn is often regarded as the only being in Hell who equals Satan in power. In fact, I wouldn't be entirely wrong to state that this ancient Hellspawn here with virtually unlimited necropower possesses a more immediate existential danger to Satan's authority, as he categorically represents the peak form of a conqueror, one who has not only decimated Hell's armies but has also taken over multiple worlds, as detailed in the 314th issue of the comic. To sum things up, Satan has every reason to be afraid of this galactic conqueror here, because when Omega Spawn was created, he was given an infinite well of necroplasmic energy and absolute control over the 9 spheres of Hell, as seen in Spawn number 200. So, truth be told, Omega Spawn is a multiversal threat who can not only enslave the forces of both heaven and hell, but the solitary fact that his power is pretty much described as a bottomless pit allows him to manifest massive planet-scale attacks that would instantly deplete the energy counter of any other Hellspawn for that matter. And as if all of these aren't enough, Omega Spawn also possesses the sheer strength to potentially render Satan irrelevant. Well, it goes without saying that a godlike being as Omega Spawn comes with his fair share of destructive power. In contrast to Spawn, who happens to be a protector of Earth, Omega Spawn suitably holds the moniker Destroyer of Worlds, and it is only fitting to admit that he operates on a strategic cosmic scale. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but Omega Spawn's origin is framed as the perfection of the Hellspawn project. He was created as the final and the most powerful version of the warrior, possessing physical strength and magical abilities far exceeding any previous iterations. Furthermore, he was specifically designed with the power to overthrow the existing Hell Lords, and in turn consolidate all of Hell's warring factions under one absolute ruler. No wonder his evolution was so successful that he ended up becoming a threat to his own creator, eventually abandoning the petty wars of Earth and Hell in favor of his own cosmic conquest, as detailed in Spawn number 314. Gaia, goddess of nature / green world. As a direct child of the Mother of Existence, Gaia is a primordial entity that predates almost all other life. Her position as the sovereign of the green world, a sentient realm that not only represents a third faction in the universe, but is also equal in power to both heaven and hell, bestows her with greater power than standard Spawn, additionally putting her on the same cosmic tier as God and Satan. Besides her primordial lineage and absolute authority over Earth and the green world, she also has the ability to destroy and recreate the world whenever she pleases, which, if I may add, is also a remarkable feat she has repeatedly carried out to teach her bickering siblings a lesson, and most importantly, to maintain balance. The ruler of Green World is the very personification of life itself, capable of creating and manipulating matter, life force, and add to this divine energy as well on a scale that Spawn simply cannot match unless he is empowered. It is very important to keep in mind that in contrast to Spawn, whose powers are centered on death, sin, and corruption, Gaia has the ability to generate life from nothing. The Redeemer, God's anti-Spawn weapon. Often referred to as the anti-Spawn, the Redeemer is a godlike entity serving as Heaven's very own counterpart of the Hellspawn, and no points for guessing that the Redeemer's primary mission is to hunt down and destroy Hellspawns. So technically speaking, you are looking at a righteous warrior angel, a soldier of the light to be more precise, one who is fueled by elemental fire to combat the very forces of darkness. Now, as the story goes, a group of angelic beings known as the Ethereal Masters turn to the Star Hive every once in a while to generate these dedicated soldiers of God. Mind you, only human beings that are worthy enough to be the hosts of the Redeemer are chosen by the Star Hive and rebuilt as celestial fighters to battle out their demonic peers. On a personal level, I was quite fascinated by Jason Wynn's transformation into the Redeemer, which not only marks the debut appearance of the Redeemer, but is also vividly described in the comic panels of the 16th issue. Now, as the antithesis of Spawn, the Redeemer mirrors Spawn's power levels but relies on divine light and energy. It is essential to remember that the Redeemer happens to be Heaven's premier weapon, and is therefore powered by limitless holy energy, whereas Spawn is restricted to finite demonic energy, and in a way reduced to being one of Hell's minions. Similar to the Hellspawn, the Redeemer also possesses intense limitless rage, but the rage is fueled entirely by light and not darkness, thereby giving the Redeemer the necessary aggression to fight demons while remaining aligned with Heaven. It is only appropriate to acknowledge that the Redeemer frequently has the upper hand over Spawn when it comes to the former's raw, destructive, and holy power, and add to this his versatility in tracking Spawn wherever he goes. Angela, Elite Celestial Bounty Hunter. Well, you are looking at one of Heaven's most elite warriors, possessing power and experience that did eclipse Spawn initially, and there is just no denying that. Of course, Angela is a superior threat to Spawn primarily due to her very nature as a specialized celestial warrior. Mind you, this high-ranking angel of the First Order is specifically trained to hunt down the demonic creations of Malebolgia, and she is bloody brilliant at it. Having existed across time, this member of the celestial race operates outside of the traditional mortal norms, and her training allows her to hunt beings across dimensions. Angela's fighting prowess and weaponry in particular deserves a special mention here. She is seen wielding a dimensional lance that can actually detach Hellspawns from their symbiotic demonic suits. In fact, a clear example of Angela resorting to her dimensional lance is depicted in the 9th issue of the comic, which is also where she makes her first appearance. Now, if you can recall the duo's first encounter with each other, Angela nearly kills Spawn, and while Spawn is seen depending mostly on his carapace to be effective, Angela's strength, speed, and durability are innate, which obviously works out in her favor. Interestingly, Angela is also largely unaffected by the psychological fear-based tricks of Hell, and can cut through Spawn's cape, which everyone knows is a key source of his powers. Well, I hate to admit that I am pretty much towards the end of the video, and while I happen to be a huge fan of Spawn, I do know for a fact that he operates within a vast cosmic hierarchy. The Spawn universe has its fair share of entities who can dwarf Spawn's Hellborn abilities with their sheer primordial authorities. Now, I've already shared my list of 12 godlike beings who are more powerful than Spawn, and I would love to hear your thoughts on them. Please don't hesitate at all, and do give me a shout out if you also happen to be a fan of Spawn. I promise to come back with another favorite video soon, and if you have enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Please do leave a thumbs up and stay tuned with me. Thanks for watching, and have a nice one.